going to read here today the words that I had spoken at the service. And I just wanted to go ahead and reread those today for folks that were unable to make it, and also as a memory keepsake for Davey Bales. Of course, these t-shirts were given away at the after service at the Roost, and these little pins as well. They were given away, and I am wearing that today for the reading of the words that I had given at the service. And I'll go ahead and start to read that now. Of course, this is streaming pretty much live everywhere. Hello, Facebook. Hello, Twitter. Hello, YouTube. Hello, Twitch. And hello, Instagram. Davey Bales was a great friend. He was an awesome poet. He was a very talented musician and knew how to handle multiple different types of instruments. He was a very good friend. He was the type of person that definitely tried to check in on you. And he was the kind of person that you definitely do not want to forget. So this reading was for Davey Bales' funeral service. And I'm going to go ahead and start to read that information now. Good day, everyone. My name is Tiffany. On behalf of all family, friends, and fans, I would like to welcome everyone as we have gathered here today, Friday, March 4th, 2022, to remember Mr. Davey Bales. My condolences to all family and friends that are grieving here today, and to those who could not take the trip to be here. We dedicate today, March 4th, 2022, to Mr. Davey Bales. Today is all about Davey. You may look to your right, you may look to your left, you may ask yourself, who are these individuals? Well, all of these individuals are here today because Davey touched each one in his own special way. You all have a memory that not a single person can ever take away from you. You have a moment in time, a moment that can never be recreated, a moment that will replay forever in your hearts. So let's make today a peaceful day for all family and friends. Your presence here today is an affirmation of your love and support to the family. Thank you for being here. Although the family may not remember every word we share here today, they will remember your presence for the rest of their lives. We are here because in one way or another, we've been touched by Mr. Davey Bales' life, and each of us feels their loss deeply. When we are faced with uncertainty, it is vital that we turn to what we are confident of. Davey loved his family, friends, and fans. He often called, texted, and messaged everyone he cared about. He always took out of his busy life to reach out to as many folks as he could. He was a great listener and was very inviting. Davey was loved by his family and friends, and that shows as you are all here today. You all contributed in all the ways you could to make the service happen for him. That is true friendship. And everyone, we thank you very much for everything you have assisted with. Davey grew up with a love for music, learned to play the piano at such an early age as a child. learned sign language in its entirety, traveled around the country and globe, made music with many friends, and wrote countless poems. The Davy that was not in the spotlight was a true Virgo, played basketball at the local park, had conversations with his mailman, and was well known in his neighborhood for being a friendly and inviting soul. Often he and his local neighbors took rides to the beach or to get food and listened to music at his place. Today, in the midst of our sadness, we might be looking for ways to help the family and to find comfort for ourselves. We might find ourselves powerless, searching for words to share. Then remember this: in times like these, remembering the life of our loved ones and celebrating their life is what truly matters. We have for a while lost who is dear to us, and we all feel the loss. But it is only for a time, as the sorrow will ease in its own way, but remain in our hearts and thoughts. There is a reason for being here and a reason for going. The other side, the places beyond, are warm, peaceful, and beautiful and free. There is a reason for leaving when the purpose of this life is done. We must all journey beyond to pause, to rest, and to wait for those who are loved. In a place far from the cares of this world, with happiness and strength renewed. For dying is only a mode of forgetting, a way of rest, a way of returning to the eternal source, however we may see it. Davey Bales was definitely the musician and the poet that craftily wrote his work. And he wrote his work with such intelligence. He definitely had put his heart, his soul, and his spirit into everything that he wrote. So I chose two poems to go ahead and read that were the most ancient and craftiest poems. First poem that I chose is an ancient lore, and here's the poem. Arrayed in some new fleshly disguise, another mother gives birth. With sturdier limbs and brighter brain, the old soul takes the road again. The second poem is called Life Well Lived by author unknown, and here is the poem. A life well lived is a precious gift of hope and strength and grace from someone who has made our world a brighter, better place. It's filled with moments, sweet and sad, with smiles and sometimes tears, with friendships formed and good times shared, and laughter through the years. A life well lived is a legacy of joy and pride and pleasure. A living, lasting memory our grateful hearts will treasure. There are two zines that Davey Bales had written, and they were titled Dead Flowers. This is the second issue, and this is the first issue. And on the back of each issue is a beloved photograph of Mr. Davey Bales. With these two zines, these are placed in his niche, in his final resting place in Hollywood Forever Cemetery. in a glass niche, and it is to the west of the cemetery. I will go ahead and read from his first zine. It is on the last page. The title of the poem is called The Velvet Hour. And this is the poem, written by Davey Bales. An underground crypt of buried beliefs, indulging in pleasure less brooding. He hears a death knell for last sleep, wrapped coldly in what he perceives. The devil's prance under the moonless air, as nightfall crawls over dark fields, ear-splitting cries in the velvet hour. Breathless howls from the beasts, voices linger in the zoo of gloom, caged thoughts that cannot unbind, disturbed, neurotic, brain-sick, deranged, an ecstatic touch through the mind. He'll writhe and quiver in the garden of pain. Prophetic visions from yesterday's dream, static spiral of nocturnal peace, centuries away from complacency. The next poem that I'm about to read is from his second zine of Dead Flowers. The title of the poem is The Green Daydream. And here is the poem, written by Davey Bales. I dance in dreams from the night before, chasing my thoughts that I chose to ignore. Restless love that roams in time. The colder I feel, the more I'm confined. I march blindly in gray woodlands. I see visions of you that I misunderstand. Parallel rows of the green daydream. Quiver, I quiver in my second skin, silently. The final poem that I'm about to read from the second zine of Dead Flowers is titled 2013. And here is the poem written by Davey Bales. The eye of my universe captures the circus playground of the invisible world. There's no such thing as time, and the arabescent sky glows like the fire from a torch. In our barbed wire existence, we are alive, feeding off measureless telepathic senses within our consciousness. Instead of walking, we crawl, like animal men in a forest with a mechanical beast. Underground on the other side of human nature, feeding off measureless telepathic senses within our consciousness. All our thoughts have been erased, collected, and exploited for the use of another time. We enter the black shadow through an unknown realm of the last hour of sleep, drowning our souls in the playground garden of ennui, 6 feet underneath soil and dirt, to the middle of the core's heat, leading our lives to the beaming light of the eternal death march. We are free. And yes, Davy Bales is now free. His spirit is free. And I am most certain and most sure his days and his nights on the other side with a few of his most favorite, memorable, and beloved musicians, Jim Morrison and Jimi Hendrix and Prince. We had three speakers in total that went up to speak. The first was Davey Bales' mother, Miss Wanda. She gave the most heartfelt, beautiful eulogy and remembrance that I have ever heard a mother read for her child. That is true love. And we also had a eulogy and remembrance of two of his good friends. We had Mr. Aaron, we had Mr. Paul. The closing of the service was as follows. On behalf of everyone gathered here and the family, I would like to thank everyone for joining us to celebrate the life of Mr. Davey Bales. It is never easy to lose a loved one, but we keep the memory of Davey Bales alive today at Hollywood Forever Cemetery, as he will be laid to rest in a glass niche for all to view, he and his memorable items. Hollywood will forever remember Mr. Davey Bales. Thank you for your presence and support today. Davey Bales' celebration of life will conclude after this at the roast in Atwater Village. And that's where we had the food and refreshments, and we had music, and had given away and passed out some things such as this t-shirt and this little pin and a few other items. We all had taken a walk as Davey Bales' urn was placed in the Hollywood Forever Cemetery hearse. We took a small walk to the west of the cemetery, and his niche was opened, and his urn was placed inside by his loving mother, and photographs, a microphone, his favorite bracelet were placed inside of the niche. It is definitely in a very beautiful place and a very beautiful location. It is open for you to walk in and to view. I will be posting that information of exactly where his location is for all of you to go ahead and visit. Now, with a glass niche, of course, your flowers would be placed on the ground. So make sure that you bring a vase or a very beautiful small container, maybe something that you would like to paint, maybe something that you would like to decorate, as some plants are left around the niches, and those do not get placed in a weekly trash, as some cemeteries have trash every Thursday or every Friday. At this particular location at Hollywood Forever Cemetery in Hollywood, California, they do not trash the plants. The energy was very warm and was very inviting. There are a lot of cats that walk around the cemetery, and there most certainly are a lot of peacocks that are around the cemetery, and they are all wild and free. And I'm sure that the spirits really love the fact that there's a lot of cats and a lot of peacocks. Peacocks are known as a bird in the spiritual world of love, heart protection, heart unity. and so on and so forth. Cats are known as soul protectors, the children of the goddess of Egypt, Bastet, and Manaka. They now become one and they take flight. We will definitely miss Mr. Davey Bales, but his memory and his music and his poetry will forever remain in our hearts and will forever remain on our photographs and our mental photographs as well. Thank you for all who have contributed to make sure that this service was done very beautifully, and he is definitely resting in a very beautiful paradise of Hollywood Forever Cemetery in Hollywood, California. Once again, I thank everyone who attended and for everyone who contributed, everyone for sharing the information, and everyone for being in his life. Thank you all so much. Enjoy your Sunday, and don't forget the next time you're in Hollywood, please be sure to visit Davey Bales. Have a wonderful Sunday.